Hello everyone, in this video I am going to be giving a detailed explanation about control statements. Control statements in Python are used to control the order of execution of the program based on the specific conditions. In Python, there are three types of control statement. First is sequential, which is a default mode, selection, which is used for decisions and branching, and the last is repetition, which is used for looping, that is repeating a piece of code multiple times. Sequential statements are a set of statements whose execution process happens in a sequence. The problem with sequential statement is that if the logic has broken in any one of the lines, then the complete source code execution will break. Conditional statements. Conditional statements are also called decision-making statements. These statements are used to execute a block of code when the given condition is true or false. The various types of condition statement in Python are if statement, if-else statement, elif statement, nested if statement, and nested if-else statement. If statement. If statements are control flow statements that help us to run a particular code, but only when a certain condition is met or satisfied. A simple if only has one condition to check. So the syntax is if condition and a body of if statement. This is the flow chart. Here is a simple example of a if statement. So we are basically checking here if a number is greater than 0. For that we are declaring a variable called number and assigning the value as 10. And then we are using the if statement to check if number is greater than 0. If the number is greater than 0, then we get the output as the number is greater than 0. Since 10 is greater than 0, we are getting the output. If-else statement. This is the second type of conditional statement. It is used when both the true and false part of a given condition are specified to be executed. It evaluates the condition and will execute the body of if the condition is true. But if the condition is false, then the body of else is executed. The syntax is if condition statement 1 and else statement 2. This is the flowchart for the if-else statement. Here is an example of a if-else statement. So we are checking if a number is positive or negative. For this, we are declaring a variable number and assigning the value as 10. And we are using a if statement to check if number is greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, then the output positive number will be executed. But if 0 is greater than the number, then the else part of the statement will be executed, which is the negative number. Since 10 is greater than 0, it has given the output as positive number. This is the explanation of the above example. In the above example, variable name number is created. The test condition number is greater than 0 is checked. Since the value of number is 10, the test condition evaluates to true. Hence, code inside the body of if is executed. Elif statement. This is the third type of conditional statement. Elif statement is used to check multiple conditions. The if condition is evaluated first. If it is false, the elif condition will be executed. If it also comes false, then the else statement will be executed. So the syntax is if condition 1, then statement, then elif condition 2, then statement, and then finally the else and statement. So this is the flowchart for a elif statement. This is a simple example of a elif statement. So we are using it to check if a number is greater than 5 or not. So for this we are declaring a variable num and assigning the value as 10. We are using the if statement to check if the number is equal to 0. If it is 0, then we get the output as number is 0. Then we are going to the elif statement to check if number is greater than 5. If it is greater, then it will print the output as number is greater than 5. If both of these conditions are false, then it goes to the else statement and it will print the output as number is smaller than 5. So here, since 10 is greater than 5, we get the output as number is greater than 5. In the above example, a variable num is declared with the value as 10, and in the if statement the condition is checked. If the condition becomes true, then the block of the code present inside if condition will be executed. If the condition becomes false, then it will check the elif condition. If the condition becomes true, then the block of code present inside the elif statement will be executed. If it is false, then a block of code present inside the else statement will be executed. Nested if. A nested if statement is an if statement that is nested inside another if statement or if else statement. Those statements test true or false condition and then take an appropriate action. So the syntax is if expression 1 statement, then inside that there's an if expression 2 statement, and then elif expression 3 statement, then elif expression 4 statement, then to close the second if we have an else statement, and then finally to close the first if we have a last else statement. So this is the flowchart for a nested if. Here is a simple example of a nested if statement. We are using it to check if a number is positive, negative, or 0. So for that we are declaring a variable called number and assigning the value as -5. So first we are using an if statement to check if the number is less than 0. If it meets this criteria, it goes into the nested if to check if the number equals to 0. If it equals to 0, then we'll get the output as number is 0, or else we get the number is negative. If it doesn't meet none of the criteria above, it will go to the final else statement, that is the number is positive. Since number is -5 and -5 is a negative number, we get the output as number is negative. The program is used to check whether a specified number is negative, positive, or 0. Once the program is executed, it checks whether the number is less than 0. If it is less than 0, then it will check whether it equals to 0. If the specified number is equal to 0, then it will print the message as the number is 0. If it is not equal to 0, then it will print the message as the number is negative. And if both of these conditions do not meet, the else condition part will be executed and it will show as the number is positive. In the above example, the number is -5, which is a negative number. Hence, the program executes the following else block of code. Pass statement. A pass statement in Python is a null statement that acts as a placeholder for future code. It is generally used syntactically inside a code block to perform no action. It is used inside functions, loops, conditional statements, etc. to represent no operation. So the syntax is pass. What does the pass statement do? It tells the Python interpreter to basically do nothing. The interpreter simply continues with the execution of the program whenever the pass statement is executed. When is it used? The pass statement is used when we are creating a program and want to hold the place of a specific code that is not ready or is an incomplete code. This is an example of a pass statement that is used inside a if statement. So here we are declaring a variable n and assigning the value as 8. So first we are checking if the number is greater than 10. But since we have used the statement pass, it does no operation and just gives the output as hello. The pass statement is used inside the if statement. Here nothing happens when the pass is executed, so it results in no operation NOP. Loop statement. A loop is a sequence of instructions or a portion of code that repeats until a specific condition is reached. Looping simplifies complicated programs into smooth ones. It allows programmers to modify the flow of the program so that rather than writing the same code again and again, programmers are able to repeat the code a finite number of times. If the condition is true, then the controller passes to the control block and the loop iterates it by increment or decrement. If the condition is false or all the increment and decrement part are done, then the looping is ended. There are two types of loop. First is for, which iterates a predefined number of time. It is also known as definite iteration. The next one is while, which keeps on iterating until the condition is false. This is also known as indefinite iteration. This is a diagram which represents a loop statement. For loop. The for loop is used in the case where a programmer needs to execute a part of the code until the given condition is satisfied. The for loop is also called a pre-tested loop. It is best to use for loop if the number of iterations is known in advance. The for loop is used to run a block of code for a certain number of time. It is used to iterate over any sequences such as list, tuple, string, etc. The syntax for loop is for val in sequence and statements. Here val accesses each item of sequence on each iteration. Loop continues until we reach the last item in the sequence. Here is a flow diagram which represents a for loop. Here is a simple example of a for loop. First we are creating a list I with the values Swift, Python, Go and JavaScript. Then we are using a for loop which is written as for I in X to access the items of a list using for loop, and then we are printing X. So we get the output as Swift, Python, Go and JavaScript. Here is the explanation of the above program. In the above program, a list called I is created. Initially, the value of I is set to the first element of the array, that is Swift. So the print statement inside the loop is executed. Now variable I is updated with the next element of the array and the print statement is executed again. This way the loop runs until the last element of an array is accessed. While loop. This is a second type of loop statement. It is used in situations where the number of iterations is unknown at first. The block of statements is executed in the while loop until the condition specified in the while loop is satisfied. It is also called a pre-tested loop. In Python, a while loop executes the statement or group of statements repeatedly until the given condition is true. And when the condition becomes false, the loop ends and moves to the next statement after the loop. So the syntax of while loop is while condition and the body of while loop. Here, a loop evaluates the condition. If the condition evaluates to true, the code inside the while loop is executed. Condition is evaluated again. This process continues until the condition is false. When condition evaluates to false, the loop stops. This is a flow diagram which represents a while loop. Here is an example of a while loop. Here we are initializing the variable I equals to 1 and n equals to 5. Then we are using the while loop from I equals to 1 to 5. Then we are printing I. So we get the output as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Break statement. A break statement is used inside both the while and for loops. It terminates the loop immediately and transfers execution to the new statement after the loop. In Python, the break statement provides you the opportunity to exit out of a loop when an external condition is triggered. You'll put the break statement within the block of code under your loop statement, usually after a conditional if statement. Here is an example of a break statement. Here first we are initializing count equals to 0 and then we are using the while loop to print numbers from 0 to 100. So actually the output should be from 0 to 100. But then we are using the if statement to tell that when count is equal to 3, we have to break, that is we have to terminate the loop statement. So we are getting the output as 0, 1, 2. This is the explanation of the above example. In the above example, loop is to print the values between 0 and 100, but there is a condition here that the loop will terminate when the variable count becomes equal to 3. Continue statement. The continue statement causes the loop to skip its current execution at some point and move on to the next iteration. Instead of terminating the loop like a break statement, it moves on to the subsequent execution. So here the current iteration of the loop will be disrupted, but the program will return to the top of the loop. The continue statement will be written the block of code under the loop statement, usually after a if condition. Here is an example of a continue statement. We are using the for loop to print numbers from 0 to 5, but we are using a if condition to say if I equals to 3, then we have to continue the statement. That means the number 3 will be skipped. So we get the output as 0, 1, 2 and 4. Function. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. A function can be called as a section of a program that is written once and can be executed whenever required in the program, thus making code reusability. The two types of functions include standard library functions. These library functions are predefined functions in Python. They include append, insert, remove, etc. Next is user-defined functions. These functions are defined by the users to perform a specific task. Defining a function. Defining a function is nothing but creating the function. It involves writing a block of code that we can call by referencing the name of our function. A function is denoted by the def keyword followed by a function name and a set of parentheses. This is the syntax of a function. Def my function parameters, then the function block return expression. So here function name is the name of the function. Parameters is the value passed to the function. Any number of parameters can be passed. Function body uses the parameters values to perform an action. Function body. The function body is a block of code that performs some task. This block of code is nothing but the action that you want to accomplish. Return value. Return value is the output of the function. Calling a function. To call a function, use the name of the function within the parentheses. And if the function accepts parameters, then pass those parameters in the parentheses. Here is an example. Here we are defining a function called my underscore function. to print the statement hello from a function, and then we are calling the function by mentioning the function's name, which is my underscore function, so we get the output. Function argument. Function argument is a value that is sent to the function when it is called. It is data on which function performs some action and returns the result. Parameter is the variable listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition. Let's consider the following example. Here we have a function called sum with the formal parameters, which is a, b and c. Then we are initializing s, which equals to a plus b plus c, and then we are writing return s. Then we are using a print statement to print the value. So we are including the function name, which is sum, and initializing the parameters 30, 40 and 50. So since 30 plus 40 plus 50 equals to 120, we get the output. This is the explanation of the above example. In this example, the function sum is defined with three parameters a, b and c, and print the sum of all the three values of the arguments passed during a function call. Function argument with default values. In a function, arguments can also have default values. Default values to the arguments are assigned using the equal to operator at the time of function definition. A function can be defined with any number of default arguments. Thank you all for watching.